Hey traders, in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I build my watch list every morning and what a typical trading day looks like for me. Before we get into it, you guys know the deal. If you find value in today's video, please, all I ask is that you hit the thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you liked it, and also subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. Like I said, I'm going to go over the watch list that you can see over here on the side of the screen with you first, and then we're going to go through what a typical morning looks like. I want to show you how I'm using the ASFX trading journal as well with my trading, just to complement some of the analysis and the documentation that I do. So first things first, let me shrink myself here. Squeeze you over. So you can see on the right side of the screen when we're staring at my desktop, I think it's going to be the right side for you guys watching this as well. We have all of the Forex pairs that I like to trade. Below that, I have the stocks that I own. Beneath that, I have just the stocks that I'm watching. Beneath that, I have my commodities that I'm looking at. And then underneath that, I have the cryptocurrencies that I own or that I'm watching. So I have some Bitcoin in there, even though I'm not holding Bitcoin right now. Right here, you can see we have these new segmentation things that TradingView just added. So if you right click, you can rename or remove these sections, but they're really easy to add. So if you just come to the watch list, click anywhere, you can hit add section right here. See how it says new? That'll allow you to add a section where you can type in the stocks that you own. You can type in list number 1, whatever you want to call it, but you can segment out this overall watch list, which makes it way easier than where we had to used to switch through these watch lists here. So it's dope. I love this. Now, specifically on the Forex side of things, you can see I have just a couple of pairs, not a ton of Forex pairs, especially for some of these brokers. They're offering like 90 different pairs to trade. That's not how I trade. I like to trade high volume pairs, the pairs that are easy for me to get in and out of and that most people are trading. That's where I like to find my best opportunities. Those are the most stable markets that we can be in. So right now I'm looking at CAD JPY, Chf Jpy, and then the dollar index as the top 3 things on my watch list. Now, they're not the top 3 because of anything other than the fact that I have it organized alphabetically, except that I put Euro USD underneath the dollar index just so I can switch back and forth between them as quickly as I want. So again, you see CAD JPY, Chf Jpy, those are the first 2 Forex pairs. Then I have my Euro pairs, Euro USD, Euro AUD, Eurocad, Euro GBP, Euro JPY, and Euro NZD. Those are the Euro pairs that I'm focused on the most. Beneath that, it's GBP AUD, GBP CAD, GBP CHF, GBP JPY, GBP NZD, and GBP USD. And then the last 2 Forex pairs are USD CHF and USD JPY. So these are my favorites that I'm looking for. If I want, I can go and I have other lists that have more Forex pairs, but for my active trading, like I said, and what I would focus on if I was you, are pairs like this that are high volume, stable markets that we can get in and out of very easily. Now, let's talk about how I build my watch list. So you can see Euro USD has an orange flag. These stocks have a blue flag. The market watch is purple. That's just my color coding. You can do whatever you want. But with these segment things, you can really not even use the flags if you don't want to. But where the flags come in handy is in the morning when I wake up, I start with CAD JPY and I work my way through this Forex list at about 5:30 New York time. That's when I start trading. Some mornings, like yesterday, I was up at 2 o'clock and I just get on earlier and I do it earlier, but that's typically the time that I trade is 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. New York time. There's opportunities earlier for sure, but I have to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, you can't sacrifice your own health just to be at the desk. That doesn't make any sense because you're not going to last long term if you do that. So I start with CAD JPY and Chf Jpy. What I'm looking at first, I just have the 15-minute chart pulled up here. You can see right behind my head the pair, the time frame, and I'm looking at Owanda as the broker. The first thing I'm looking at is the TDI. Now, if you've never seen a TDI, you've got to study some of my other videos. You can search this indicator here in the indicators bar. It's ASFX TDI. It's right here at the bottom. It goes in pair with ASFX ADR and the EMAs and Asian range. So those are the 3 indicators that you see here on the chart. So first I'm looking at the TDI and I'm trying to decide if it's got a trend for the day or not. Here, we'll look at this example first on CAD JPY. It starts from the changeover of day. That's this vertical line I'm looking at right here. From the changeover of day, it started above the 50 value, which would indicate a buying trend. It then dropped below into the sell zone, which indicates some indecision, and then pulled back into the buy zone. So when I get to my checklist, one of the questions that I teach everybody in the course to ask themselves is what could be better about this? A perfect TDI has this L50, this yellow line, this market sentiment line, in the buy zone or sell zone entirely in one zone all day, not swapping like this. So anytime I see a swapping L50, instantly it doesn't normally make my watch list. CHF Jpy would be the next thing. You can see same kind of idea here. It started in the sell zone, pulls into reset, we call it, right at that stationary 50 value, kind of like an indecision point. You see consolidation overnight there, and then it breaks out to the downside. So since this came out lower, I would anticipate this to come lower as the day goes on. So this is something that actually was on my watch list this morning. The dollar index will never make the watch list just because it's not something I can trade. I just reference it for some of my Euro trades. Now, Euro USD, I've been looking at this on the 1 hour chart, which is why it has an orange flag, not a red flag. You can see I gave CHF Jpy a red flag. This is because we had an entry signal a few days ago that I want to make sure I don't forget about. On the 15-minute today, if you look at the TDI, it started in the buy zone and dropped into the sell zone. So again, a swapping situation that I'm not a big fan of. Euro AUD is actually a much better TDI. If we blow this up, you can see it's been in the sell zone all day. The main issue with this, and why I'm not in this trade, why I'm just watching it as an idea, is because it hit oversold today and bounced through the 50 EMA, which is this blue line, shifting the 8 and 21 EMAs up. That's what we call a shift. All of these terminology things that I'm saying, if you don't understand them, I teach how to read the chart and speak this language in our course. And I'll put a link in the description to this video so you can check that out. I do think this comes lower overall today because of this TDI, and that's why this was on my watch list, and that's why this idea is being monitored by me and the team. Eurocad, another pair that we do trade pretty frequently. You can see yesterday I was looking at it for some potential ideas. Here's that big move down overnight tonight that we were looking for yesterday. So now today, the TDI isn't great. You can see it's sell zone into buy zone into sell zone, but still, because overall the bias is short, I would keep an eye on this, but it probably wouldn't be something that I trade. It's a swapping TDI. It's very much oversold already once today. So I'm really looking for perfect setups, right? Euro GBP, that could have been something that we were looking for longs on. See how that TDI is in the buy zone all day? Now news, the interest rate news just shook up all the GBP pairs. So that's why you see this big bar. But the other thing about this is the EMAs. With that 800 EMA, this blue line coming across the screen, that would be a level of resistance, higher time frame resistance, that we would want to make sure we're aware of if we're trading into, because like you can see here, 3 hits to it and it falls away. So that's Euro GBP. That really didn't make the list today because of that 800 EMA. Here, Euro JPY, buy zone into sell zone. By the time I was awake, it's already a swapping TDI. I want something better. If I go through the entire list and they're all swapping, like even here on Euro NZD, swapping, if I go through the whole list and they're all swapping, then I'll go back through the list and see which ones are swapping at the least amount, meaning which ones are like in the buy zone 70% of the time and then only in the sell zone 30%, if that makes sense. But we had opportunity today with perfect liquid 50s. Here, look at GA. It was oversold. News took it higher. That's what I was saying about these GBP pairs. You can see them all moving up, but they all had a really nice TDI basically over the last 2 days, giving opportunities for shorts here on GCAD. GCHF was a little bit more sideways, and you can see that from the L50 over the past couple of days. And then today, the L50 on GCHF is actually swapping buy zone into sell zone. So looking for those perfect liquid 50s, GJ made the list this morning because it was at the 800 EMA, but the TDI was good, so I wasn't sure if it was going to move lower. And I used that 800 EMA as support when the news came in this morning. And the news was weird because the news was negative. It stayed the same on their interest rates, but they said that their GDP is contracting. So you would think that it would push GBP pairs lower, GBP base pairs lower. No, GU shot up. This was also on my watch list this morning because of that perfect TDI. So it starts with the TDI, and then I start to work through the rest of my checklist, whether it be, do we have space on ADR? What are the EMAs telling me? Are we out of the Asian range? And all of these questions are the questions that I teach you to ask yourself in our courses. So if you have questions about that, comment them down below in this video, but also check the link in the description because that'll give you a lot of context to what I'm talking about as far as what's in the courses and what you can expect to learn. So that's how I built my watch list this morning. Now, when I am using my trading journal, which you can also find a link to the trading journals below, this really helps me not only go back over the ideas at the end of the day to see what I could have done better if I take a trade, but on the days where I'm not taking a trade, I can still use it to document the idea and even go back and go over that. I find that people, number one, don't document their losers enough, but beyond that, they don't do any testing outside the ideas that they were looking at. You have to have some humility and remember that you're not going to see every idea. You're not going to be able to catch every move, right? Same kind of thing. So when we come to the desk to review, we want to be unbiased, but also open-minded. And the journal really helps me do that because I can say, hey, this is a thing that I wasn't even that interested in, but I need to go look at this because it still fits the edge, and maybe I could do better to have that more on my watch list next time. So the journal, it's extremely helpful when we talk about documentation. And then even on slower days, like here, this was a day back in November, nothing, just no trades, no ideas, just a quiet day. So the journal is useful across the board. But I hope that this video is valuable to you guys. Comment below, let me know if I didn't answer any questions about building my watch list and the pairs that I'm looking at. If anything changes as we go through the year, of course, I'll update you guys. But hopefully this gives you some direction to go forward with. You don't need to be watching a ton of pairs. And then even from the smaller, I guess, watch list that I have here, I narrow that down even smaller because I want to really be focused on the highest probability setup. And having a checklist, having a system like I teach in the courses will give you that process to work through and find that high probability setup. So if you have any questions, comment down below. I appreciate the time. If you found value, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.